This episode of Creating Miah brought to you by Purified Skin, formerly Corbett Lasers. Check her out on Facebook, Purified Skin. Also bringing you Creating Miah is Spawn the City.
Welcome to Creating Miah for this week. This is the second week in a row. Are we feeling okay, Miah?
Oh, I'm feeling great.
All right, good. Yeah, so it's semi-regular, so I'm really proud of you because it's really your show. So you kind of plan out what we're going to talk about. I'm just here, the trained monkey, to ask the questions. I'm Chris Spangle. Over there is Miah Axton, and if you're a new listener, this podcast is about Miah's transition from male to female, from Jeremiah to Miah, and all about her life. And the whole point of the show is explaining what goes on. You know, this is a mysterious community. The trans community is not often talked about, and they kind of hide in the shadows, and there aren't a lot of people who are willing, they don't have the balls to come out and talk about their transition and the judgment that sometimes comes along with that. But Miah, if you know Miah, she just straight up doesn't give a fuck. So she is here to answer questions and explain her transition. The last 9 episodes, this is episode 10, right?
Yes, it is 10.
Wow. Well, there was a 6th episode that I don't think we just ever published.
Wait.
So
I don't know if that one ever got posted.
yeah, no, it didn't get posted because I was going through and adjusting some things last night. I was like, I'm not going to publish this without her permission, but...
Next, just publish it.
Okay. So this show really is her walking us through the process of transitioning from a male to a female. I am here just to ask questions from the point of view of a normie. And what do you call it? A
Cisgendered.
Okay, what does that mean?
Cis. It's just like look up the Latin etymology of the word, and it's just normal, like
right.
common.
Right. Vanilla, as you like to describe it.
Well, no, you're vanilla for many, many other different reasons. You're cisgender, though, because you accept the male gender role as society sees that you should.
Right. Well, I was born a guy.
Well, no,
that likes
as
women.
a society, because if you were born a guy, say 50 years ago, you treat women like shit.
Right.
You dress very nice. You fit in, and you're a manly man. You make sure to deepen your voice, and you slick your hair a little bit. 100 years ago, you wore way too many layers of clothes, smoked something that was just horribly offensive, and were a pompous ass.
Right.
That's what I mean by like what society deems your role is.
Are you calling me a sissy man?
Technically, right now, compared to like half the other times in history, except maybe like the Enlightenment period and some other periods, yes.
Right. I will accept my role as a total sissy man. So when I got a flat tire, I had the 6'1", 200-pound transitioning Miah Axton change my tire for me, and it was just about the funniest shit ever. Where you're in a pink belt. You're in a pink belt jacking up my car, so it's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's what I do. But you know, I mean, honestly, it's not that far-fetched. I know a lot of people, guys, girls, it doesn't really matter, that couldn't change their own tire.
You're like my own personal triple gay. That's going to piss some people off.
You know what? You're done. You're done, son.
It was just a joke. Miah is actually a lesbian. So
I'm pansexual.
Pansexual. In the last episode... I wondered why you humped the microphone when you walked in the room. Oh, that's not you're attracted to everything, is it?
Pansexual is I don't base my attractions on, well, I technically don't base my attractions on gender or other sexual anything. If I find somebody attractive for whatever reason, I find them attractive.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
So in the last episode, we talked a little bit more about that and
polyamory.
Polyamory and your marriage, essentially. Not legally, but who gives a crap about the government?
anarchist.
Right.
Legal marriage? Pish posh.
So check that out in episode 9. Well, for this one, what we wanted to do is we wanted to solicit questions. You can email me at Chris, CHRIS, at creatingmiah.com if you have questions. It's totally anonymous. I'm not going to tell Miah who is sending the questions at all. Anything that you want to know, anything that you'd like to ask, send me an email. It goes to my personal email. Miah can't break into that and see what it is. And we'll ask on the show here and make it a regular feature. So if there's anything you want to know, because the whole purpose, again, of the show is to make people feel more comfortable with something that they don't really know a lot about. So
Right, and even if you do have questions and you don't want to have to send them anonymously, do it anyways. If you post them on my wall or something, I'm gonna have to just send them to Spangle anyways because he's the one who's gonna be asking them.
Right, and Miah projects this very frightening human being sometimes, but that's all an act. There, I blew it for you. Anybody who was watching 2 weeks ago knows
If
that
you're
last
watching
Saturday,
a couple weekends ago, I took an enlightenment tool and showed the whole world I was a giggly, bubbly little bitch.
that you are a perfectly happy, nice person that is fun to be around, and you really ruined your reputation. What was...
Have you seen my arm?
Yeah. No, well, there was the incident with the knife, but we won't get into that. That was episode 19 of The Uncontrollables, if you want to hear all about that experience. So let's get to our first question. The first question comes from our friend. I'm just kidding. Here's the first question. Miah, I feel like we need some little the music from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Bum, bum, bum. So Miah Axton, when did you first realize that you did not feel comfortable in your own body? And how did you come to the understanding that you would be more comfortable with a more feminine appearance? Also, have you tried pigtails yet?
Well, that's a long question. Both parts are very long.
Well, let's start with pigtails.
Well, pigtails, I had my hair long before this once, and my current girlfriend at that time did put my hair in pigtails.
Wife.
No, that was a different girl.
Oh, okay.
No, remember when we first met?
Right.
I had super long hair.
Yeah.
I wasn't dating Emily then.
Oh, okay. You said your current girlfriend, which would technically now be your wife.
The current girlfriend at the time.
Oh, okay. All right. So, you got to get that crap straight.
You know what? I'm going to slap the shit out of you.
Wives get super mad about that. All right. So, yeah, you had slicked back douche hair. You look like a day trader. It wasn't like your hair now where it's feminine hair. It was slicked back like Gordon Gekko.
Oh, I was sexy. No, so I had done pigtails, but when did I first realize?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, my memory sucks. Bad. Really bad. I don't remember things really well, but as far back as I can remember, I remember it was in elementary school when I started noticing that I was acting and I didn't really feel comfortable with all the stuff I was doing and how I was playing and what I wanted to do, but I was afraid to say I wanted something different.
Does that mean that you had G.I. Joes, but you wanted Barbie? Does that mean that you wanted, not long pants, you wanted
the
capris?
little creepy crawly thing that you'd to bake the little monsters and stuff?
Right.
That was really cool, but I wanted an easy bake oven.
Okay. All right.
And so I can kind of remember a lot of Christmases and birthdays of what they asked me what I wanted. I wanted to say a lot of other things that I didn't.
Okay, so it manifested itself more in objects, not clothing or
Well, when you're young, you don't really
behavior.
perceive... Well, I didn't, because, I'm Indiana, I'm out in the somewhat country. You don't really perceive clothing. You don't really get into that.
Right.
I mean, all the girls in my neighborhood that we play with, they all wore jeans and T-shirts.
Right.
There were... I went around girls that wore dresses and stuff like that, and all the girls around me anyways, we all rough and tumbled. We all got dirty and played and roughhouse together, so I guess it was kind of skewed until I got into, middle school, high school is when that started to change, at least in my world.
So did you see girls in middle school and high school, and what was the emotion? Were you jealous? Were you angry about it? What was the emotion associated with the feminizing of the females around you?
As I was watching all the other girls go through puberty, and as I was just getting the computer, and I was trying to go to libraries and get books and read on shit, and I didn't know anything. It's middle school. You don't really have for then. That was before computers were. You're still looking
Right.
at that giant ass compact for $5,000, and it comes with the printer and the keyboard and the mouse, and it all these features that we don't even use anymore. And so I was looking around.
Those features like keyboards and mice that nobody uses.
Well, no,
anymore.
It's and this computer comes with WordPad.
Right. So you're saying that you would go to the library and on the internet and look for something to help explain the feelings that you were having while other girls around you were going through puberty.
Yeah, and as I saw them go through puberty, I kind of pushed myself deeper and deeper into my shell. I'm like, my parents abruptly moved me from one school system out in the middle of nowhere, and I kind of really got depressed. And that's when it really started coming out that I was like, well, I don't want to be who I am anymore. And since I wasn't around any of my old friends, I didn't really have any friends out there, I spent a lot more time with myself. And I really started to notice that. So when I went back to the old school system I'd gone to, I'd lost all my friends. And so I started to rebel, and I went into the whole goth thing. I could wear makeup and crazy clothes, but I was just a goth kid. I'd get away with it.
Right. So it was just a way to play with makeup.
Basically.
Yeah.
I had an excuse to paint my nails. Never anything but black, but...
Right. So did the frustration that other girls were changing and you were not able to blossom? I mean, and I don't mean that
right around that
pejoratively,
time when I shot up to stupid tall,
right,
I was like, fuck.
right. Was it a conscious thing where you thought, I'm not changing, in fact, I'm becoming a male? I mean, was it that conscious?
Not necessarily. Looking back, it kind of is, and my subconscious rebelled more than my conscience did, if that makes sense. That I wasn't, consciously actively thinking these things, but a lot of these things I saw on a lot of things going on around me depressed me, and I never really knew why. Up to the point where I was going to commit suicide, and that's when everything really changed. I didn't act on it until I was, 10, 11 years later, but a lot of things changed at that point.
Meaning what actually changed?
I hated myself so much, and it wasn't, because I didn't have any friends or blah, 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 blah. So, no, I just absolutely at like 14, 13, I can't remember what year it was. I don't know what age I was. I don't have my dry erase board with all that shit on it. But, I mean, I was like 13, 14, 15 years, I'd probably 13 or 14, and I just didn't want to live as who I was anymore. And then things changed, but...
What changed? I mean, did things improve that sort of led you out of that, or...
Oh, no, I called my dad, who I hadn't talked to in like a year, and because he was tired of like my biological mother playing games with using me as a pawn.
Right.
And so he thought, he tried a one parental technique, and he just kind of cut me off. And I think that's what really drove things downhill. But I randomly, after not talking to him for an entire year, I randomly called him. It was like 3:00 in the morning. He answered at like the second ring. And then like 10 minutes later, he's at my house. Or at that house, And so I went away from there. Well, I'd cross-dressed at that point. And so I'd picked up random odds and ends. And anybody that's ever cross-dressed knows that you just randomly pick up shit throughout the house. Parents aren't home. You pick up stuff. And so I had it all shoved in like this little box under the bed because, kids hide shit so well.
You know what I used to hide? I used to hide chocolate bars, candy, food. You hid clothes. We all have our deep, dark secrets. So your dad comes and picks you up, and do you take the box? I mean,
no, I didn't take anything.
Okay.
But as my biological mother and stepfather were going through the room to go sell all that shit, all my toys and all my possessions at their consignment shop, they found that.
Wait. So you move in with your dad permanently.
Yeah.
And instead of giving you your stuff, you take what you can carry and then they sell the rest of your junk?
Uh-huh.
Wow. Okay. Well, that explains a lot. So they find the box.
And I guess she had called my father like panicky and worried and crazy. Like they didn't know that I was. I don't know if they know to this day that I was going to commit suicide.
Was this 10 or 11? You said
11, probably 13 or 14 around there.
Okay.
And I don't think they still to this day know. I doubt my dad's ever told them, because he fucking hates them. But he had a talk with me about it, and I don't know why. I can't think back enough because I was stressed out. I was nervous. It was a very emotional thing, so I don't remember it that well, of course. But he was not opposed to it. He just wanted to know if I was okay, if I wanted to talk about it, if, what's going on. He was very open, very understanding, and he didn't give a shit one way or the other. And he kept saying, he's like, whatever you want to do, whatever's going on, let me know. And, he was born in 1953, so what the hell does he know about this?
So did you told him what exactly? I mean, did he sit down and ask if you were gay? Did he sit down and...
Yeah, because, the difference between gay and trans, 10 years ago was still a little bit different of a conversation as now.
Right, it's all the same thing. It's all about sex for most people in their everyday lives.
Right, and he was just trying to understand what was going on, and I basically told him I'd rather live as a girl than as a boy. And he's like, is that what you want to do? Do you want to get different clothes? And I said no. And I'm not sure why. But
yeah, so you had an escape there. I mean, why didn't you take it?
I could have. I was afraid. It was a very crazy time. Anyways, this is like
Right.
a couple weeks after, I tried to kill myself. So
Right.
I really honestly don't know why. And it came back up over the years, and I fought it. And when I first came out to my parents, they like this recently, he's like, he actually almost started crying because he's like, I knew I should have done something more. And he's like, I should have pushed you a little harder, and I should have dug a little bit deeper. And he's like, but the more I asked, and the longer it took, and the more I asked, it seemed the more aggressive you got. So I didn't want to push it.
Right.
And he kind of regrets that, and I regret being a douche.
But he shouldn't, because, I mean, that's really open-minded for a parent, because that's some heavy stuff.
But you got to understand, he's my dad, and he's a worrywart. But my older brother is an abject fucking failure loser. And no matter what my dad did, that boy never stopped fucking up. Destroyed everything. My dad either gave him everything in the world, didn't give him anything, tried to teach him to earn stuff, did everything he could, and it's just a bad seed. And so that really affected my dad in a really bad way, that he was trying to be a good father, and here I am. No one ever laid a hand on me as a kid. Mm-hmm. No one touched me. I never needed it. You could just look at me weird, and I would be like, oh shit.
Right.
My brother, on the other hand, he would literally force you. He would start hitting and punching and grabbing shit to hit people with, and you would have to get physical with him to dispel the situation. And so I think, I don't know if my dad was afraid that if he pushed too hard, I would rebel, I'd get crazy or something. I don't know. And I still to this day just think it was fear. It was fear of society, because I ended up really deepening my voice through school because everyone said I sounded like a girl. Back in my head, I was like, yay! But everywhere else, I was like, and then, kids always say, well, don't you throw like a girl or this or that. And so I constantly rebelled, and like I said, the subconscious just fought against who I was internally. And it just, I really regret not doing more, but it's kids and how they perceive the world and things like that. And, poor parents, it's impossible to say. And like I said, we don't know anything about this shit. Nobody knows, especially parents are going to know what transgenderism is and everything else, and
Right.
what questions to ask. Maybe they're just genderqueer. Did I take the transgender thing too far? Do I push them to hormones? Do I not? Do I put them on puberty blockers? There's all that shit. That shit was technically around then too, but I don't know about in Indiana. But it just, so no, it's I also do believe everything happens for a reason, and I'm not so sure I was in a good state of mind throughout most of my childhood. I had a lot of baggage I carried from the other parents that I'm, other than the physical shit that happened because of fucking puberty, I think when I came out a year ago or so, I think it was better because of where I was at in life.
So other than your dad, and your dad knew, as soon as you really could vocalize it.
My dad always realized there was something off about me.
Well,
Not in a bad way, but with pertaining to this subject, he always knew he always figured that there was something.
That kid's either meant for great good or great evil.
No, I mean, like I said, pertaining to this in this context of with the gender issues, he always knew that there was something a little weird, and I don't want to say weird, just off. That, and he always saw me constantly reinventing myself and being super into something and then not. Now most kids do that, but the way I went about it and the reasons I wanted to get into things, he just always kind of thought that there was something weird about that, but he didn't know what was going on.
The other clue was tucking from a very early age. Daddy,
Pervert.
look, I have a vagina. Please don't isolate that, by the way.
I'm going to isolate that out in the editing process. What was the whole question again?
Basically, when did you know and how did you know it? So, other than those of us on the campaign that you spilled the beans to about a year ago, and then it kind of, we forced you to put it on Facebook, and you kind of came out. Other than your dad, who else have you told along the way? I would assume Emily, and I would assume your ex-wife.
Yeah, my ex-wife, I told her I had issues before we got married.
Meaning what?
What?
Meaning issues like what?
I told her I had some, I guess I don't know the phrase I use. I forgot a lot about her. My mind just kind of purged her. I honestly might not recognize her if I was walking down the street.
Right.
But I remember her birthday. It's August 14th. Haha. July 7th anniversary. But I told her that, there's some gender issues, and I was kind of into this or that, and she didn't seem to care. Actually, in the bedroom, we had a lot of fun with it, but a lot of fun.
Moving on.
I might have kind of told some other girlfriends a little bit, kind-of, in a weird way, but not like a truly honest, I want to be a woman way.
Sort of like, hey, I'm just joking. I really want to be a woman. Ha ha ha.
It's like, I like girls' clothes. I like to go out in girls' clothes. Sure, let's party. It wasn't like, I want to be a woman. So I kind of just pass it off as kind of like cross-dressing instead of actually like being transgender.
Right.
So I told a couple people, but honestly, within the last 3 or 4 years, I don't have long-term friends. I don't have any anymore. Everyone from my past, the thousands of people I know and I've lived around and with, I don't talk to anybody anymore.
All right, so let's move on to another question. We've got 2 more emails. The last one is some serious, heavy stuff. The second one is just kind of funny. So let's ask this first.
Let's go funny.
All right. Let's move on to something lighter from suicide before we get to the final round, which I'll let you guess what it is. So, which one of the We Are Libertarians folks would you most like to star in a porn movie with?
Isn't that obvious? I mean, the
No.
We Are Libertarian folks, out of all of them.
Thank you.
Well, BBW porn is on the rise.
Shut up.
Definitely.
Hate you.
You know what? As long as he signed like a consent form and I could do whatever I want, it'd be Creighton. I would pull the dominatrix role, tie him down to a sawhorse, and woo-hoo-hoo!
I cannot wait to play this for him.
Not that I don't find him attractive, but just be dominating him.
You just want to
in
hurt
the
him.
horriblest way on film would just be the greatest joy in my life.
See, I thought it would be Gina.
Creighton would never consent. Gina, maybe if there's enough money involved. Yes, definitely. Oh, Gina's. Now, I couldn't say just Gina because Emily would have to be involved or she would be so jealous she would kill me.
Okay. Which one of the We Are Libertarians folks would direct it?
Obviously, Spangle.
Right. I'm the one with...
You have the even if it's porn and you feel uncomfortable, you'd be like, no. Take your dick and no. The dildo is the wrong color.
A phrase I have used many, many times. What would you call it?
Hashtag fucking Miah.
Okay.
I have no originality when it comes to naming things.
Would it be best shot in 8mm or Betamax?
I'm not that old.
I'd say 8mm.
How old is the person that sent these questions?
Have a nice, Pulp Fiction type feel to it. Now, we've explained why these choices, so that was a bit of fun. So, all right. You could call it the Uncontrollables. Brand recognition.
There you go.
All right, so let's get to round 3 here. I guess I'm too anti-PC to even notice if a question isn't PC. I've never given a flying fuck about what anyone thinks of me or the things I say. I would ask anything right to your face, but since we never have met, FTF? What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Okay. How far are you taking this? Are you going all the way and reversing the plumbing? I can't help but notice your wife appears to be a naturally born woman. Is she into you with a dick, or would she be more into you without one? What does your family think of the transition? If they're supportive, are they sincere? So we'll get... Actually, I'll finish reading the whole thing, and then we'll deal with these questions one by one. In what ways has this affected your relationships with family and friends that didn't necessarily know this about you? I've got more, but that's a good start. While I admit those things are all a curiosity, I'd actually had to work at coming up with them due strictly to the fact that I really could not care less than I actually do. It is your life and your body to do with as you please until it infringes upon another's rights, which I don't see possible, but hey, it is what it is, I guess. Last question. Are you ever going to sit around and blaze? It would be a much better environment to better acquaint ourselves with one another, and I think my wife would get a kick out of some of the discussions that would result. So I'm not sure if you can tell who that is.
I know exactly who it is.
Okay. So do you want to deal with the family and then segue into the...
Yeah, let's deal with the family.
Okay. So we kind of talked about how your dad was into it, you feel his support is sincere, and your stepmom is sincere.
Oh, definitely. I mean, my dad, especially as he gets older in years, is overly protective, and so he was wanting to make sure that everything's safe, everything's healthy. This is what I really wanted to do. This isn't going to hurt me in any way with jobs, future potential. Is someone going to try to kill me? Is someone going to try to beat me up? And not that he doesn't think I can't handle myself, but it's a dad. But the only thing he's having a hard time with is the pronouns in the name.
Right. But even I have trouble with that. I mean, I think I've called you he like twice this week, and it's not meant to be hurtful. It's just it
just happens.
It happens.
But I'm his kid, and so the way you talk things and everything else, and I don't care. But I only see him like once a week. I mean, I talk to him on the phone almost every single day, but I only see him once a week. So, since I don't really do a whole lot with my voice, it's hard for him to keep imagining me in a different way. And my parents aren't ones on Facebook either, so it's not like you can see that shit.
That is a good idea. Yeah. Because your dad would be really worried.
He would be laughing his ass off while scared that the FBI is going to show up to his house because my address on my driver's license is still his house.
If you want to say, what's your dad's first name?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, well, you should lock your stuff up, Walt. I'm just going to call him Walt because I've never met your dad. I'm one of the few of your close friends that hasn't met your dad. But I don't know why, but when I envision what he's like, I think like Breaking Bad. I think he's Walt from Breaking Bad.
No, Walt's a pansy. My dad is like Jeremiah Johnson.
Who?
Oh my God. Do you ever watch AMC?
No.
Jeremiah Johnson, it's an old type of Western. Like he's up in the mountains and he's just like a lone guy and a bunch of people kill his wife and he goes on a murderous rampage and he's...
What show is that? Because that sounds familiar.
It's a movie.
Oh, okay. No, I've not seen it.
He's a cross between Jeremiah Johnson, Clint Eastwood, who's the little short guy with the little black mustache? Bronson.
Hitler.
Bronson.
Oh, not Hitler.
Bronson. Throw in a little bit of...
Tom Selleck for good measure, and maybe a smidge of Chuck Norris.
And a little bit of Bruce Willis. With that kind of that sly, I'm going to smirk as I stab you in the throat type of thing.
That's where you get it.
But looked, not anymore, But when I had long hair, because he's always had, I've never seen him without hair at least to his neckline or his neck, and I've never seen him without a beard. And he keeps it nicely trimmed, and he always has, and he always gets his hair cut. But I don't even remember what he looks like without gray hair, because my family line grays pretty early, and so I don't know what he looks like without all of that. But when I did my beard kind of similar to his, and just because of where different colors grew in, and then my hair long, I looked exactly like a younger version of my dad, and it was scary, very scary.
So when you talk to your dad every day, what do you guys talk about?
Everything. When I came back to Indiana, I lived with my parents, and because we live in a goddamn compound, so it's huge. But we would literally, he would come. He was getting ready. He's working on his way of retiring, and so he'd come home for lunch for like 2 hours. We'd talk for all 2 hours. Then when they got home at night, we'd sit on the front porch from like 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. every single night and talk. We talk literally about everything. I don't know what I don't even know how the subjects come up. Like, you know what? He would be the greatest show host ever.
Yeah, because I talk to my dad and my mom like maybe once a month, every other month, and it's like fact based. Like I couldn't imagine talking that much to a parent, but
like
issues.
I mention, hey, the courier business is doing good. We'll spend 45 minutes talking about one aspect of that, and we've always been very close. And it's funny because we kind of say, he's like, well, I don't like you just because you're my dad. And he's like, I don't like you just because you're my son or, daughter now. And he's like, it's not why I like you. I don't give a shit about that. I got the I don't like family, blood family. I don't like the idea of blood family from my dad. That was
right.
Stefan Molinex or anything else. That was, my dad's always felt that way. He's always hated the idea of blood family. And I've gotten a lot of things from my dad, actually. I mean, half my politics kind of come from the core of my dad's personality, but I brought him the anarchy.
Yeah, but everybody ends up just being their parents. Like Samantha is exactly like her mom. I get my entrepreneurial spirit from my dad, my crankiness, and
I'm a mix of my stepmom and my dad, but on just a basic level, not different little things here, like what I like, what I don't like, things like that. But there's a lot of differences too. It's weird. My dad was very open, very accepting, very free spirit with a chainsaw and a shotgun.
So let's deal with the good, because I know we've talked in past episodes about some of the family, but let's deal with the good. So who else in the family has been supportive?
My family consists of my dad and my stepmom.
Okay.
I've disowned the rest of my family years and years and years ago.
Right. So let's talk about the bad then. The other people, how did they react? And
every so often they bug the living shit out of me. Like my brother has a couple kids floating around out there, and they're like, "Oh, they need their uncle." Blah 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 blah. I mean, they just sent him back to jail not too long ago, and so they bug me all the time. And because I've had the same number since I was like 16, so So one time, I think it was around New Year's, I sent him a picture, me in a dress, and that's when I still had a wig. And I said, Merry Christmas, everybody. And I blasted out to a couple different people. And there wasn't really a reply. And I'm like, I said something shitty just to see if I could piss them off to get them to leave me the fuck alone. And it turned into a massive shitstorm. These people are all those fake Christians where they go to church every week and then they go out in the parking lot and sell drugs. Those really the speak in tongues, and they think because going to church absolves them of all their sins every week, but they're not Catholics. And so that started a massive shitstorm with I have a massive family. Huge. And I got a bunch of shit from a lot of people, so I just doxed all of them. And posted all their personal information, their home addresses, their full names, their phone numbers, email addresses, every personal bit of information I could remember or find. Doxed all of them, and then they left me alone.
Do you want to get into why you don't get along with them?
They're evil, vile people. They're just not good people. They're just honestly not good people, and I have no reason to want to be around them. I have nothing in common with them and never have. I mean, My grandmother on my mother's side was a whore. And she actually whored out my biological mother and sisters. Because technically both sides of my family, very good-looking women. And I think one of my aunts was actually a model for a while. And she got fat and ugly. And she makes you look like a pea. And
She looks like Wallowitz's mother.
so
from
all,
Big
you know,
Bang
they all act like they're these good people, and they're not. They backstab people, and they're into schemes, and screwing people over, and just some of the worst qualities in a human being possible. And they put on these facades that they're good people. And I mean, what my biological mother did to my brother when he was young, burned him with cigarettes, handcuffed him in bed, beat him, kicked him out of the house in the middle of winter, wouldn't let him back in. Just all kinds of nasty shit.
So how did you avoid that? Or did you?
I hid. I had a little turtle shell, and I went inside of it, and I hid. And well, when anybody would ever fight, and this is my nonviolence kicking in at a very early age. Anytime anybody would fight or yell or scream or argue, I tried crying, I tried yelling, I tried doing whatever. I found out the surefire way to get somebody to stop arguing or fighting. As a kid, slam your head into the ground until they stop. I have like a half-inch of scar tissue built up on my top of my head and skull from doing that, from just doing nothing. Anytime somebody is angry or mad or anything, I would slam my head in the wall until they stopped, or into the floor until they stopped, because it's the only thing that worked. And
That
so,
explains a lot, actually. Head desk.
I think,
I've never seen anybody actually do a head desk until I met Miah.
yeah.
And I'd be 3 rooms away and hear a head desk, and I'd be really worried, and then you'd have to go home because of brain damage.
I don't know. I was a weird kid.
Weird kid, yeah. Weird kid.
I still am a kid, according to that video. Like, me and Emily were laying on the couch last night, and I swear to God, we're 6 years old mentally, because it takes nothing to entertain and please us. It's just like...
So I want to ask about the origins, and I know this may come across as, I don't want it to come across as bigoted, because I'm interested in hearing
Bigot.
your point of view. Where do you think, or do you think that it comes from somewhere? Where do you think the impulse to change from male to female comes from? Do you feel that you were born with it? Do you feel that it was maybe shaped through something in your childhood? I mean, what is in your opinion, based on your experiences, what is the origin of it? I mean, is it just something you were born with?
And in a particular case of transsexuals and a lot of transgender people is you're born with it. It's there. It's who you are. It's behind you all the time. And it's a really tricky thing, and a way to talk about it is that there's only 2 gender roles, and depending on what time period you live in, there's defined things you have to do and be in those genders. And the whole change in your body that's just kind of a great thing about living in the world we live in, is that we have the ability and the science and the technology to do so. But being able to match your outward appearance to your inner appearance, to your mind's eye, is it's just something you have to do. I mean, some people, they're comfortable with just how they are. Some people have to go to the gym and work out, 2 times a day, 7 days a week, to feel comfortable with their body. It's a really hard thing, and it's really hard to explain how you just know something, where it's not a choice. It's a choice to accept who you are and be who you are. It's not a choice of who you actually are. It's just, it's there. And
go ahead.
It's how you choose to present it as well is different too. Because, I mean, some people feel really manly and they feel really strong and overly protective. So some people put on a black uniform with shiny badges and become cops. Some people, they wear the flannel because they feel that is their countryness or something. So it's always a struggle for like me, is to find a way that I'm presenting myself, and I always make sure to check myself to make sure I'm not going too far. Not like, so instead of acting like I'm masculine and manly and a guy, I'm not acting too far the other way and being fake again.
It almost feels like you're androgynous in a certain way. You know, like you represent male aspects, you represent female aspects, and you enjoy the social terrorist aspect of people trying to figure out what you are more than you really want to be a female. You just want to troll the human race by being different.
No, not necessarily. That's just something, a little extra joy I get out of it.
I'm saying that you legitimately, if you could choose, you'd be female, but at the same time, there is...
I take what I have and what I am, and I do the best I can with it.
Okay.
I know, like, especially with my outfits and how I carry myself, I'm still not really that comfortable with my body, but I'm fat. And
yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable with that body either.
It's like clothing. I'm 6'1" with a decently large bone structure.
Yeah,
I still carry quite a bit of fat like a guy. Finding clothes that I feel like I look good in, I dress like a woman that's not comfortable with her body, that thinks she needs to lose weight. It's exactly how I dress.
You're totally right. Yeah, I mean, you're wearing like a black T-shirt and capri pants today.
Yeah, and then I don't wear a lot of skirts and dresses because I still have some coarse hair and I can't shave all the time. It looks like I have fucking goddamn chicken pox sometimes. So I literally like can't shave. I need to get more laser hair removal, and the hormones are working on that. But I dress and with what I think my body can handle. Looks wise, and it's not that I don't think I'll look like a woman if I go out, or I don't, I think people look like think I'm a dude in a dress. It's like I don't give a shit about that. I don't find myself self-attractive in a mirror, and I'm like, ew. If I saw some other girl walk out of the house in this outfit looking like I do, I would laugh.
I mean, but that just makes you part of the human race. I mean, I don't take my shirt off and go, I look as good as Henry Cavill. Like I just don't. I mean, I haven't really ever thought about that, but you're right. You do dress like a woman who, but do you feel like you need to put on a red dress and stun the room ever? I mean, do you really feel like
Did you not see me at the LPN convention?
Yeah.
That was me going all out with what I had.
Right. Okay.
Plus, I'm poor.
Right.
So I can only do so much, and I don't want to. I have some pretty nice dresses, but I'm not always sure about if I have the right accessories, and I'm still doing a lot of shoe searching, kind of like soul searching, but shoe searching.
But it is soul searching. Yeah, I mean, I guess my question is like,
no, I guess like normal women, I have the desire sometimes to just look pretty.
Right.
And me and Emily go out. Sometimes we'll just go out for dinner. Sometimes we'll just go drive over somewhere like Kohl's and walk around, and I'll put up, slather on more makeup. And again, I don't wear a lot of makeup right now anyways, because for a while there, my lips and my eyeballs are, open wounds because I'm getting tattoos. And so that's been the last like month and a half. Then if I got laser hair removal, my face, my skin's raw. Or if I'm going downtown to ride a bike all over downtown in this heat, my face would melt. So I can't really wear a lot of makeup. So it's but I got to the point where I was wearing a little too much makeup and I was dressing a little uncomfortable, I guess, for a while there in the beginning because I was really wanting to pass whatever. But at the point now, I'm getting a lot. I'm comfortable with how I appear, I think, to the outward public, that not many people say sir anymore. Most people say ma'am, but I'm pretty comfortable there. It's just I'm not comfortable with my body shape like a normal woman would be.
See, that's interesting because I interpret normal female as androgynous. So that's sort of my own hang-up, I guess. Like, that makes total sense. Like, I think most people, when they think of trans, they think of RuPaul dressing up like, an over-exaggerated woman where every trans person is trying to become, Sofia Vergara. Yeah. And they're always wearing dresses and always wearing skirts. And you're saying that, no, it's just your normal female trying, to hide her body. And
like, I dated a girl that was Carrie. I dated her for a while, and she's very pretty. She's really into modeling and making clothes and fashion. She works for a company, Tom James,
Right.
the high-end clothing retail. And she would always wear, slightly baggy pants. She'd wear kind of like frumpy shirts, or not real tight or showy off. And she had hair down past her beautiful little ass. And she was like, I think she was about 6 foot tall. And so she had hair down past her ass, and she wouldn't always put it down because it's a mess. But she just put up like a little bun ball on the back of her head. She wore almost no makeup. And she was perfectly feminine, and she felt very feminine. And I've kind of reflected on her and a couple other girlfriends I've had that didn't really wear any makeup. And they weren't manly. They weren't butch. They just didn't feel the need. They didn't feel like they had to do all this other stuff to be feminine, to be women. And so that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm reflecting on that stuff, is that if people don't see me as girly enough or womanly enough, I don't give a shit. I feel, and I can look in the mirror and feel woman enough.
So do you intend to kind of get to a Sofia Vergara stage, or do you just want to be happy the way you are, and you want to be your typical woman. You'd like to lose weight. You need to lose weight, but if you don't, then...
No, I'm losing weight.
Right.
That's happening. But I should have done it before I started taking hormones because it slowed way down. No, and I want to keep a decently high-fat content diet because I want it to keep being distributed. I want to get fat in a lot of different places. I want to just lose fat where it used to be, which is happening. But I still want to get breast implants. I might want to get something in my ass. I still want to have some facial surgery.
What would you like to get in your ass?
If I had the money right now, I would be getting all the fat sucked out of my stomach and then processed and stuck into my ass. Emily would just love that. But no, there's some different things that I've thought about. I definitely want to get, I'm going to get a nose job. That has to happen. No, I mean, literally, I can't. I've had my nose broken so many times in different ways. I can barely breathe out of my nose most times. And then, for some odd reason, because their airflow and it doesn't drain right, I get sinus issues a lot. So, and it's kind of crooked. I can't wear sunglasses right.
Right.
And so, I definitely going to get a nose job, but that'll be to fix all that shit, but I'll get rhinoplasty at the same time. I'd probably do some other stuff. I got to see what the hormones do to my face, which you see me almost every day.
Yeah.
A lot of other people do, and I'm sure you can notice the difference, but I look at pictures from a year ago, and it's like, holy shit.
See, I mean, it's a progression, so you don't really see the drastic changes.
Yeah,
I mean, I can see your hair getting larger. I can see your skin softer. Your hair is lighter, but...
My actual, face looks different. And it's not just because of the eyebrows and everything else. It's... My face does actually look different.
Right,
so
and I think in a year, you go back and listen to episode 1 of this podcast, and it's... You'll talk like this, and then it'll sound, welcome to the first episode of Creating Miah, and then, so I think there'll be that difference too, which is also sort of interesting. So let's answer the question. Are you going, quote-unquote, all the way and reversing the plumbing?
No.
Why not?
I don't see genitals as the defining point on gender. I just don't. Because genitals, for a lot of people, the appearance of it, they define that with gender. And it's there's hermaphrodites, there's intersex, there's all this other stuff. I just don't see things that way. And I quite happen to really be able to enjoy being able to stand peeing up. I mean, that's the top 10 reasons why I wouldn't get rid of it. Fuck that. It's just, no, I don't see a need to do that. And I know for a lot of people, it's okay. It's enough. It's good. It's whatever they need it to be. I don't want to say this because I don't want to really necessarily offend the whole idea in the process. I don't think it would be good enough for me. I don't think science and the medical community has improved enough that it would be good enough for me.
It becomes a whole situation where you're trying to... I won't go into graphic detail, but I've heard, on the Howard Stern show, people talk about it, and that was my first concern. I'm like, hey, you're not going to do that, are you? Because that's a whole thing. That's it's like having a wound that never heals.
Kinda.
And I'm sorry if that offends people, but that's...
But they're doing a lot of new stuff. They're actually taking skin cells out of your cheeks, the inside of your cheeks, and your mouth, and they're cultivating it, and
Really?
you actually, so you're like your cheeks, they're like the slick and wet and that skin type. They're doing that. They're getting very, very good at what they can do. They use every last stitch of the penis. So it's the sensitivity is there.
Really?
They're getting to the point now that you'd have to go to a gynecologist before somebody knew. Most guys, if you get a shitty job, like there's some like doctors in Thailand that leave like horrible scars and shit.
And I think that's really what I heard on the Howard Stern show. This trans person
Most
Siobhan
people
had
that-
it done like 15 years ago, and it's just like he was asking her questions. It's like, why would you ever do that? You know.
Right now there's one, I can't think of her name, and the porn star. She was a really popular quote unquote tranny porn star, and she got it, and she got the GRS, and you can't tell. That's a woman, and they do the close ups and everything. There's no way a normal person, especially if you're in a bedroom or something, could ever tell. And then most people that have good work done and go through that, you're never going to see it or know about it or hear about it. You'll never know.
I'm really not asking for myself because I want to throw up as I ask the question, but I have to ask for the listeners. Existing equipment, have you noticed a change in either look or performance?
Within the first month, I stopped getting morning wood, which is great because that shit's fucking annoying. God damn it. And then you're like, I can't go pee. I drank way too much water before bed last night and then ate a watermelon. I really have to go pee, but I can't. And if I do, it's going to spray like a goddamn fucking mister.
God.
Oh,
God. I ate a watermelon last night.
Well, that watermelons make me have to go pee really bad the next day, and I always eat watermelon at night. I don't... just leave me alone. But,
Okay.
But like, and I'm not small.
Oh, God.
By any means.
You're such a guy now. All of a sudden, you're reverted back to Jeremiah.
No. And that's a complaint I have, too. Now, but the great thing is I've been blessed. With I'm a grower, not a shower, and that is a splendid thing. No, and this is talking, transition stuff.
I'm so
Wearing
uncomfortable right now.
tight clothing is, you're gonna show shit off that you don't want to show, and it's not gonna look great. But so that's with that. But I stopped getting morning wood, which is great. Plus, I sleep really weird and I move around a lot, and sometimes it really fucking hurt. And then probably about after about 3 months on hormones, I noticed a drastic decrease in ejaculate. And then probably about the 6 month mark, since about then, I've been shooting blanks. Which is, thank God, because I tried getting a fucking vasectomy when I was 20.
How do you know? How do you know they're blanks? So you're just saying it's dry as opposed to...
I honestly,
I mean,
and I never talk about this shit. I masturbate once a week just to see. Just to see. It's like, I'm trying to document this in my head because, I've read other people say different things, and I've had people ask me. So after about 2 months, a couple people asked me, like, what's it like performance-wise? I'm like, well, I'll just start kind of documenting this shit in my head and finding out. And so that's different now. Sensitivity is off the charts. At this point, I can achieve multiple orgasms. My toes go numb when I orgasm. It really changes things. I mean,
hold on, I need to leave the room.
No, but this is it. It changes everything, and even without even going still with just a penis, it changes everything. So it's.
But you know how I am. I don't like to talk about this
I
stuff
know,
with
and this
friends,
is making you
but-
uncomfortable.
yeah.
And I'm honest. This is why I'm not looking at you because I'm
I know.
uncomfortable. This is something I don't talk about.
We're both looking at mittens, which makes it even weirder.
But no, so a lot of things change with that. I mean, to me personally, it's a much better experience now than it ever has been. It's just, I've never really been interested in sex. Like, sex is fun for me, and I have to get into some different fetishes and stuff like that. It's got to be more mind-wise. Body sex, I get better body feels out of this than I used to because, my whole chest tingles now during sex. And then Emily destroys my chest every time she gets the chance. But that's one thing. And so my nipples and breasts are connected. to everything too. So that changes.
Hey, by the way, can I get the Wi-Fi password? I'm just gonna look on Facebook right now and see what's going on there. So continue.
And so
It's super uncomfortable in the room right now.
yeah. So we're gonna move on. But the only thing I do want to do down there wise is I do want to get castrated.
What?
Remove the testes and all that because I don't need them anymore. After like a year and a half, I'll be chemically castrated anyways. It's not like I'll ever be able to have kids. I don't want kids, not with my genes anyways. And they're going to just be in the way, and they're going to be producing massive amounts of testosterone.
Yeah, I mean, balls, for the ladies out there, balls are really uncomfortable. Like, you sit down in the chair, and you sit on your balls, and you're just like, oh, God. And
they are. They're dirty. Of course,
I don't know about your balls, but mine are clean.
Well, no, like...
I mean, I take baths.
No,
showers.
You know what? You know what I'm saying. They're fucking horrible little things. I've never particularly liked testicles anyways. I'm like, why are they outside? Why? Okay, women can have ovaries and shit up inside of them. Why are the testicles outside? Why? Doesn't make any sense.
They like sunshine? I don't know.
So, what were the other questions?
The other one was, would Emily be more fulfilled as if you kept it or didn't?
Emily wouldn't give a shit.
Right.
She's found me attractive no matter what I look like, and the more happy I get and the more confident I get and happy with my own body, the more she's attracted to me.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with anything. She is truly, naturally a pansexual. She doesn't give a shit. She's I can say this. She's dated both. So
yeah. And if you can edit it out if she's uncomfortable with that, but
I'm saying that she's done both.
Yeah, in the pants. All right, so been an interesting show.
I like this question thing.
I do too. I hope more people send in questions. And now
because I have a hard time coming up with what to say because it's like I'm going through all this shit in my head and it's over periods of months,
right.
And it's like this is kind of a culmination of over
a cumulation.
What'd I say?
A cumulation. You meant cumulation.
Accumulation. I'm still uncomfortable, so I'm nervous.
I can't believe I gave you 2 radio shows.
Fuck you.
This is a compilation.
And so over the past year, my whole life and different experiences and shit. So I definitely want people to keep sending questions.
Yeah, Chris at creatingmiah.com. And, in the future, no more ball questions. So, thanks.
Well, and I'll take questions, and it doesn't have to be about personal stuff like that. It could be about anything. What kind of nail polish do I like?
No, but I think that's...
Crackle. Crackle is the most amazing nail polish on the face of the planet.
But that's okay. If people want to ask about that stuff, I don't mind asking. That's what we're here for, to educate you, the listener.
And if you want to just be an asshole, send a really uncomfortable question and make Chris ask me, and I'll talk about it for a half hour.
See, because here's my deal. I don't talk about that kind of stuff with my friends. I don't want to know about your sex life with Emily.
And you know what? I'm not really comfortable talking about it. It's nobody's goddamn business.
You and I have had one conversation in the years that we've known each other about that, and it was on the ride back from
and it was only
Las
to try to
Vegas.
freak you out to keep you awake at the wheel.
Right. And I was falling asleep, and he knew that was my trigger, so he, or she, I'm sorry. See,
I
I
was
just
he
did
then. So you're picturing me as he.
Exactly.
So it's okay.
I'm sitting there thinking about driving along the Missouri Road, and you're telling me about your exploits with...
That was in Chicago. Not Chicago. That was in Illinois. Sorry,
no, it was
St.
in
Louis.
Illinois. Yeah, we'd just gotten to Indiana, and I'm just trying to stay awake, and you're like, I don't want to keep you awake. Here's the time that I was like, oh. So, and you discovered my trigger words. So, which
moist.
Ugh. I hate the word moist. It's just gross.
Smegma. Anal seepage.
Anal seepage is funny, but smegma is just gross.
Hey, you know what? I like how we finally taught you what the word queef means.
I know what queef. I was joking. I know what queef and I know what keef was because I go on Reddit. And so on the last episode of the Uncontrollables with Gina, and I was talking to Miah and Gina, and I said they were talking about smoking weed, and I said, "Is that the stuff in the bottom of the grinder, the queef?" and they thought that was hilarious.
Oh, we
So-
went on about that for like 10 minutes.
I know it was a joke, but Gina was like, "No, you really didn't know." I'm like, of course I know everything." But yeah, so that was quite an episode of Creating Miah.
The Uncontrollables.
So
This has been a crazy episode of Creating Miah.
yeah,
Oh, wow,
All
there's a
runs
lot
together.
in this episode.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to have to go home. I have to go downtown. You know, oh, good Lord. Oh, it's 4:19. I'm going to go home and take a nap.
I thought you just said you had to go downtown.
I do, but it's Black Expo.
All right.
No, I'm not saying that's bad. No, it's just things, like certain things like shut down in preparation, because if there's a big event, everything's dead until like later in the evening.
Right.
And so I don't really have to go downtown right now.
Right. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. If you got questions, send them on Chris at creatingmiah.com. And this was a good one. So please share it with your friends and
Share
family.
it, subscribe, like, share.
Go
more.
to WAL-radio.com and check out some of the other podcasts too. So, all right. Thanks for joining us here on this episode of Creating Miah.